everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is launch day for my brand new fall quilt. Every year I do a fall quilt. They're one of my favorite quilts to do. I always add in fun pumpkins, and if you know me at all, you know that I've also added in a little bit of aqua pop to my fall color palette. This year's quilt is called Poppie's Pumpkin Patch, and it's actually the third quilt in a series that I'm doing. They all have similar layouts and themes, but they're all going to be seasonal. So the first one that I did was Franny's Tree Farm. That was obviously my Christmas version. I loved it so much that I decided I wanted to make a seasonal version of this layout for all of the seasons. The second one I did was called Hearts in Bloom. That one is really cute. It's got little patchworky log cabiny looking houses along with cute little heart flowers growing next to each home. And then, of course, this year's quilt, Poppie's Pumpkin Patch. So Poppie's Pumpkin Patch is a super fun quilt to make. This quilt finishes at 75 by 75, just like the others. And I used all leftover fabrics for this quilt, so you'll see a lot of prints from my Harvest collection from last year. I've also thrown in some fabric from my Heartland collection, my So Quilty collection, and my outer border is actually from Bloom. And that was my very first collection that launched back in 2024. And I've had a lot of questions every time I release a new quilt now if there's fabric to go with it. There is not fabric to go with this one. My next fabric launch will be a holiday Christmas line. That will be coming soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're following me here on YouTube, but also really make sure you're on either Instagram or Facebook or my newsletter. I do pre-release notifications there, so you can plan ahead. You'll know when the launch days are, what time they're launching, so that you can set your calendars and be ready for those launches. So I don't have a fabric launch with this one. I just used all of my leftover oranges, tans, greens, and aquas to put this quilt together. So let's take a look at these cute blocks. So our first block is a cute little cottage house block. I really wanted to give a fall feeling to this. I was thinking little cottage or farmhouse, and then of course pumpkin patch season. So I did just really simple little houses. They've got windows with little curtains in them, and then of course a cute chimney on top. I made all of my houses scrappy, so they're all a little bit different, but they are aqua for the main part of the house, a green for the roofs, and then a tan for the doors and the chimneys. And then I made my little curtains orange just to tie in the pops of orange from the pumpkin blocks. So I think all the houses turned out really cute. They're very beginner friendly and super fast to put together. The alternating block is an adorable little wheelbarrow with a pumpkin and fall leaf in it. This is the cutest block. I hope you guys really like it. It looks a little more complicated, but it actually comes together really easily. You just want to make sure you're following your pictures. All of my quilts come with step-by-step written instructions, but also graphic illustrations, so you know how to put everything together, and you're just going to really want to follow those because there's a lot of angles and things on this block. So for my wheelbarrows, I did do the brown for the handle, the little stand, and the wheel, and then I did a cute aqua wheelbarrow. I thought that would be really cute to contrast with the orange pumpkin and then the green leaf. You can make these any colors that you like. I just thought those four colors just went together really well, and the aqua wheelbarrow just makes those pumpkin and leaves pop. So I love this block. It's so cute, and it was so much fun to make. Now for the sashing, because like I said, I'm going along with the Franny's Tree Farm original, so there is just basic background sashing in between all the blocks, but then for the cornerstones, I did little tiny pumpkin blocks. They're really fast and easy to make, super cute, and it gives it just a little extra pumpkin-y vibe. And then for the outer borders, we did two different outer borders. I have my skinny green gingham outer border that extends all the way to the edge of the quilt, so they crisscross over each other. Then I have a nice wide border along the edge. I chose to use my floral print. This was from my Bloom collection actually, and it was just had those blues in it, but it was a nice kind of large floral, which I thought looked really cute and fresh with this quilt. And then in the corners, all the leaves are turned so they're facing out, which just really helps frame your quilt. For the background fabric for this, I did use my tan dot. This was a print that was in a couple of my different lines. It was in my very first Bloom line. I also think I had it in my So Quilty line, and I just used that one because that is honestly what I had enough of left over in my stash from those lines, so I could use that for this quilt. For the backing on this quilt, I used my So Quilty tiny blooms. They're just like these little bouquets of little baby flowers in there, and they had that aqua and denim in them, and so I thought it matched the backing really well. And like I said, you guessed it, I had enough left over to do a backing for this quilt, so that's what got used on it. I really am trying to get through my stash this year. And then for the label, I used a label from my Sweetwater stash. This one has tiny little blue circles on it with white flowers, and it has little orange centers. It actually matched my quilt pretty well, so I went ahead and used that label on this quilt. And if you need help learning how to label your quilts, I do have a video here on YouTube on how to label it. There's a few different ways to label it. You can do whatever you like. There's sew-in for your binding labels. There's labels like this one where you actually attach it to the backing. And I always just add my label after my quilt is done, partially because I usually forget, partially because I don't want to quilt when I'm doing my free motion quilting on top of that label. I think it kind of makes the label not look so great, so I like to add it afterward. And yes, I do machine sew it on. You could hand stitch it on, but I machine sew mine, which means you can see the sewing on the front of the quilt. But honestly, it's really hard to notice, especially when you have all of the free motion quilting going on in your quilt. It's almost impossible to tell where the label is. I've never had anybody say, oh, what's that weird square on the front of your quilt? So nobody notices. I go ahead and just use my machine. It's a lot faster. Now let's go ahead and talk about the quilting on this quilt, because it was a lot of fun to do. I've actually done this pattern before on pretty much all of my fall quilts, but I love it so much. I keep going back to it, and I feel like the more I do it, the better I get. So this quilting is a series of swirls, and then I'll work my way into a pumpkin shape. So I'll come down from one of my swirls, make sort of like a C shape, come back up along that C, make an oval for the center, and then do a C going the opposite direction and the opposite direction to get myself back up on top. That gives you your pumpkin look. And then I'll usually do like a little pointy stem on top, and then I just swirl my way back out of there, do a few more swirls, and then do another pumpkin. I love doing this design. I'm getting pretty good about it now. I can make my pumpkins go any direction I want, which is great for being able to fill your areas. And you'll see there's a spot right here, and you'll be like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do an upside down pumpkin there. And it's really good to practice on paper first, is what I recommend. And then once I kind of have the design down in my head, then I'll go ahead and go and do it on my actual quilt. None of my quilting is perfect. I have to do it all by hand. The machine that I have is a used machine. I don't have the ability to put in a pattern and have it kind of do it on its own, so I have to just do it all by hand. If you're at all interested, I highly recommend trying to quilt your own projects. You can start on something smaller like our topper series or a mini quilt or even a pillow top. Those are a lot less intimidating than a whole quilt, but once you kind of get that down, I think doing your own quilt is a great way to just expand that creativity. I love the process. I just put on a pair of headphones, put on a movie, something I've seen before, so I don't have to be watching it. I can just listen and know what's going on, and then I just quilt away. So it's a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it, and I encourage, if you haven't tried it yet, to try it. I do have a couple of videos here on how to free motion quilt and straight line quilt your quilts if you'd like some extra help. All right, I think that's it for today's launch. I hope you like this quilt. It's literally one of my favorites. It's so cute. Those little wheelbarrows are adorable, and it's just such a fun fall quilt. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, comment Poppy's pumpkin patch in the comments below this video. I'm going to be picking a winner for a free pattern giveaway from those comments. You also do need to be subscribed to my channel. I always like doing giveaways for my subscribers as a way to say thank you. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave your comment below. Thanks so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed Poppy's pumpkin patch. If you make it on social media, make sure to share it there. You can also join our Sew With Me Facebook group. I will leave a link for that below, and you can post your progress there as well. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Guys, shoosh. The alternating block is a wheelbarrow full of patchwork. The alternating block is a wheelbarrow with a patchwork. The alternating block is an adorable little wheelbarrow with a pumpkin and fall leaf in it.